Guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
15.5.
These trends, including 10 and 5 this week. What do you think?
I like that a lot, Scott. Listen, the one I like the best, I think, is the Seattle Mariners at home against Kansas City. Also, I have to admit, it's part of it is because it's minus 120. I am not particularly a huge fan of laying the minus 290, like you said. But if you want to put that together with one of your other trends, right, you parlay the number one and the number two trend together, then all of a sudden you're probably staring at about plus 135, plus 140. That would be interesting to me. I also like your Cubs play. However, I will say this. I am on the call-up pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, okay? Joey Cantanillo, he is being called back up from the minors. He has 36 strikeouts in only 28 innings pitched so far, so over a strikeout an inning, and they are hanging 3.5 as his strikeout prop. The reason is because a lot of times before in his outings, he's been something of an opener, only going 2 or 3 innings. However, he has stretched himself out in the minors, and I think they may rely on him a little bit more because if you remember, Scott, the original starting pitcher Ortiz is being kind of suspended with for a gambling scandal or an investigation. So they're going to need Cantanillo in this rotation a little bit more. And so I think he's going to be taking turns more regularly. He will be stretched out. If he goes 4 innings, I think he can get 4 strikeouts, even though I'm with you on the Cubbies getting the victory.
I'm surprised, Dane, they gave a line on that. You know, a lot of times they won't give a line on a pitcher they're not really sure of, whether it's because he is a spot starter or because he's a reliever, as he basically is. I'm looking at his log. You know, he only goes 1, 2, maybe 3 innings, but he's getting 4 strikeouts a couple times, 3 a couple times. You know, you said he's averaging over a strikeout an inning, so it's not necessarily really. It's kind of weird, right? You're not betting will he get the strikeouts. You're betting will he be in there for 4+ innings? Because if he's in there, it seems like he's going to get it tonight.
Right, absolutely. Like I mentioned again, 36 strikeouts in 28 innings of work, so over the strikeout an inning. And you're right, there are some books that are not hanging his strikeout prop. I saw the 3.5 over at MGM, so there are at least some places that are hanging that line, Scott.
Yeah, there was a game. I want to say it was earlier this week, Monday or Tuesday. I forget who the pitcher was. It was a similar thing. And I looked it up, and he had great numbers, and they actually gave a strikeout, and it was almost like 3.5. And I said, this guy, if he's pitching, he's going to get 5 or 6. I think it was someone against the Dodgers. I forget. But sure enough, he got like 7. He blew by the number, and he did exactly what you're kind of counting on Cantanillo to do tonight. So hopefully he comes
We'll
through.
see. I think it's about if they stretch him out. And, and for me, my vantage point is they're going to stretch him out because it looks like now he's going to need to start taking regular turns in the rotation.
Yeah. Dangerous day so far, folks. Our PP is already blown up in smoke. Our public parlay with Houston this afternoon losing to Colorado. Had that with the Dodgers. And we got the Washington Nationals winning again tonight against the Detroit Tigers after getting the split yesterday against the Tigers. So we got the Rockies already winning. We got the Nationals in the process of winning. We got our red-hot Miami Marlins winning again this afternoon. We'll update our pullover side of the road bet that we'd like to put in on the Marlins team total over. So just getting underway, in-game live game day here on the grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back. It is in-game live game day here on the grid. Scott and Dane Martinez in for Dave Sherapan tonight. Just getting underway. We have our 5 on the line. Always like to recap that in case you missed it real quickly. Our 5 trend plays for tonight. Robbie Ray, San Francisco pitcher, over 5.5 strikeouts. He's had 6 in 9 of his last 13 starts. We're going to go with the Cubbies minus the 144. They're 15-5 last 20 home games. Over San Fran, Arizona. Arizona on a nice little 15-6 overrun. Last 14 meetings between the two teams, over as well. Seattle minus the 120 against Kansas City. Seattle 11-2, last 13 at home against the Royals. And then the Dodgers, easy play later on tonight, minus the 290. They are 13-2, including last night's win. 3 in the bottom of the ninth to win it, 5-4. So right back on the Dodgers today. We'll get to the baseball scoreboard here, Dane, in a second. But you brought up the WNBA. 5 games tonight, all underway, which is kind of weird. They wouldn't have any West Coast games, but a decent little betting opportunity.
Yeah.
That's why I want to get to this before it leaves us. I did like the Sparks. I was telling you in a break. Liberty have failed to cover 7 in a row, including losing 5 outright. They're only 2-5 their last 7. They're at home. They were a double-digit favorite tonight, which I thought was idiotic. I had the guys on the podcast on the LA Sparks tonight. Sparks are actually leading outright 51-42 midway through the third quarter. And now you can get the Liberty at home plus 2.5, 136 on the money line. I'm a big hedger. But it's hard to middle that. You'd have to have the right. Liberty win. So it's hard to, not cover. So I'm not going to, but I'm looking for an opportunity. But otherwise, Liberty had no business being a double-digit favorite tonight the way they're playing.
No, I agree with that. And to be quite honest, Scott, I think there's opportunities across the WNBA right now, right? Because the Liberty were double-digit favorites coming into this game. They are down right now to Los Angeles. We were talking about it also. The Las Vegas Aces were 4.5-point road favorites against the Fever in Indiana. And the Fever are up by 16 points right now, Scott, 46-30. The same could be said. The Phoenix Mercury were 11.5-point favorites going into Dallas. They are down by 10. That is one that I think could be interesting because there's still a lot of game left to play in that one. That one is still in the first quarter. So you got a team in Dallas that is home that were double-digit dogs. They are up by 10, and you can still, Scott, right now, get them plus 3.5, plus 196 on the money line. That one is interesting. And the Minnesota Lynx, outside of the Liberty, one of the best teams in the WNBA. They were home double-digit favorites, and they are losing right now to the Washington Mystics, 19-12. So really, all across the WNBA, Scott, your favorites are down right now live, and I think literally, if this is your first time watching in-game live here on the grid, that is the exact blueprint that you look for, right? To kind of take a position. Big favorite down early. And we have some big favorites down in the third quarter, in the second quarter, and in the first quarter. So I would ask you, Scott, irrespective of whatever action you already have, right? Because for you, it would be middling. You already have a position. If someone is joining in right now and watching, which, if any of those, would you feel kind of more confident to maybe get the discount on the favorite? Or would you, take a swing on that dog that has a working margin for it to actually just be their night? Like, for instance, Dallas is home and up by 10. You know what I mean? So those are interesting to me. What do you say?
Yeah, and Paige Beckers is playing tonight. Caitlin Clark is not for Indiana. Beckers is for Dallas. They both with plenty of playing time. I would start there. You're right. They were big dogs today at home against a really good Phoenix team, but Beckers playing for Dallas. They're a different team when she plays. They're actually not bad, and they've been playing a little bit better after their slow start. So, you know what? I think they win, and you're still getting them plus 5.5 right now, and they're up 11. I mean, that's a big, and they're at home. They're not on the road. Yep. So you want to give me 5.5 points with 11-point lead? I'll take that, albeit first quarter. It's funny, Dane. I think the boys in Vegas, and I don't say this too often, but they got it backwards tonight. Like, they made Indiana a home underdog, which is just crazy to an 8-8 Las Vegas team. But I'm guessing the thinking is Indiana won the Commissioner's Cup a couple of days ago. They're all giddy. If you saw the video, they were partying like there was no tomorrow. I mean, you would have thought they won the championship. So I'm guessing they're thinking, you know what, they're back to reality just 2 days later. They're not going to be ready to play. And yet they are. And then they made Minnesota, the team that lost the Commissioner's Cup. You would think they would come out flying. So let's make them a big favorite, maybe bigger than what they should have been. And yet they're losing because they got it backwards. Indiana, for whatever reason, is not having any kind of letdown. And Minnesota, you think they would come out flying, is. So I would take Dallas, although now it's down to 1.5. It was 5.5 when I started this diatribe. And I would take a flyer at Minnesota at laying 3.5. I think Washington's playing better, but I'll still take a flyer at Minnesota laying 3.5 at home to come back and win.
I mean, Dallas is down to 1.5, but it's a 13-point margin. And what was 210 on the money line is now even money on the money line. So, as the sands of time continue to go through the hourglass, right, they start to respect that working margin a little bit more. And they have grown the lead from, I think, what was 9 to 13 points. So there you have it. And that's why, listen, Scott, that's why it pays for us to mention wherever the hot topics here are on In Game Live. And I thought it was hysterical that you said, literally, your explanation took about 45 seconds, and we literally had about 85 cents of movement or 4 points of movement in that time. That's how quick it changes.
Yeah, it's funny. Just shut up and let us get the bet in, Scott. So let us get the bet in, right? So the one thing about the WNBA also you got to check out. I know this is the case with the Liberty and a couple of teams. There's the qualifying for the World Cup or whatever they're calling it, some major tournament. Maybe even be I don't think it's the Olympics, but a lot of these teams have lost players. So the New York Liberty you're betting on now doesn't necessarily have all their starters or any other teams because they're overseas playing for the respective countries. It's the one weird, sport. Usually it's the other way around. Like we get to keep our players and the other countries lose theirs, whether it's hockey, whatever. But in the WNBA, there's a lot of foreign players, and those players want to get their countries qualifying for the Olympics or whatever the major event that it is coming up. So just be a little careful.
I'm watching the Liberty game, and I just saw Breanna Stewart hit a layup, so she's in at least. I saw Iniescu, she's in, and they're on a little bit of a run. The lead has been trimmed to 6 points right now here, so maybe the Liberty making their run.
Yeah, you get them laying 1.5. I think they do win, not by 10.5. SGP, same game parlay coming up next.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith.
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift from the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out in the first inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the first inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling you, those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minka Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, Game Day here on the grid on a fabulous Thursday evening. Scott Wetzel, Dane Martinez in for Dave Sheriff. And third segment, hour number 1. You know what we do, a little SGP, same game, parlay time. All right, we hit one of these earlier in the week. Let's see if we can make it 2 for out of 4. We're going to use the Dodger game, Dane. Why not, right? Dodgers and White Sox, it's almost an automatic win, although tell that to the Astros this afternoon against the Rockies, right? We got a 6-legger. It's going to pay over 12-1. I just kept on adding more and more pieces, and the odds obviously just kept on going up and up, and I kind of cut myself off finally at 6. But here's what we're going to do tonight. We'll take the Dodgers winning, just straight out, not going to lay the run and a half and not get burned like last night, minus the 290. Going to go with the over Chicago and the Dodgers. I do think we're going to get a lot of runs tonight with Savali on the hill. And I think the White Sox should be able to score against the Dodgers. Dustin May, a few runs to push this to over 9, so I'll take my chances. Nice little 8-3, 10-3 win. I'll use Ohtani as getting a base hit, minus 320, right? That's a no-brainer. And 5 at-bats, he's bound to go at least 1 for 5. Teoscar Hernandez, 1 hit. He's minus 220. That's going to bump it up a little bit. Then I did Mookie Betts, an RBI. Not a hit, but an RBI. Used a different guy, plus 160. That bumped it up a legitimate amount. And then the one that I got to worry a little bit about, but I'm going to go with Aaron Savali over his strikeout total, 3.5. Little juice, minus 142. He generally gets 4 strikeouts. I think he's going to get the extra time. This is only his 4th start as a White Sox after they acquired him from the Brewers, so he's going to get a little bit longer leash. So add it all up, and it pays over 12-1 plus 1233 on the SGP.
I like that, Scott. What I also like that you're doing is you have a kind of consistent blueprint for the entire game. You know what I mean? You like the Dodgers. You like them to score a lot of runs, and that's why you're taking members of the Dodgers, kind of get hits, get RBIs. The only thing I would say within that narrative is maybe Savali doesn't last a ton in that game.
Yeah.
Maybe if the Dodgers get to him and get to him early, he doesn't stay in there long enough to do that. But I like what you're doing, and like you were saying with that first trend, if you got the Dodgers on that money line at the minus 290, you're adding other legs to a parlay, maybe taking the run line, maybe doing something else to make that number a little bit more palatable. But Scott, I will also now tell you, the New York Liberty have taken the lead back from the Los Angeles Sparks already. So remember, the first time we mentioned that, I think it was like a 9-point deficit. They have come all the way back. They are now up 58-57 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter against Los Angeles.
Wow. All right, there you go. So hopefully you hopped on them getting basically even money or plus. Actually, they were as low as plus 2.5 that they really were. And even when we really pointed it out, they were still basically pick them. So hopefully you hopped on board. Minnesota's still down. You still get that minus 3.5. So I still think that's actually a decent bet. I think eventually they come back and win that game as well. Just not cover the original number. Washington bottom 6, 9-3 over the Tigers. That's kind of an ugly game. I don't know if there's any angle to bet that one. 5.5 is, I'm not big on laying 5.5 runs.
Yeah.
Taking 5.5 runs, maybe if you want to take the Tigers, they're giving you plus odds. Stankies, though, and as I like to call them, and Blue Jays, Dane tied it now 3, bottom of the 4th inning. I tell you, there was one point 5 games ago, Yankees were 15-1 under. They've now had 4 straight overs heading into tonight, and it's 3-3. Over-under was 8.5. Chances are halfway decent. This is going to be another over game for the Yankees. It's amazing how things flip, right? 15-1 under, and now they're looking at their 5th straight over. Bottom of the 4th inning. It's a big number now, 11.5. But you know what? This has got 7-6 to be written all over, just like last night.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's certain times where you realize that it's just one of those kind of games. And if you think about it, as we always say, you talk about our friend Dave Sharapan, he always says that most runs are scored in the 5th and 6th inning, right? So this is going to be kind of an example when we haven't even gotten to that 2nd and 3rd time through the lineup. The starting pitchers, I think it was Clark Schmidt and Tyler Bassett, are on for Toronto. We are probably going to see the rough underbelly of the bullpen in this one. So I do think conditions are prime for more runs to be scored. When you talk about Washington and Detroit, I agree with you. I'm not going to touch the 5.5, but the live total is 15.5 with 12 runs on the board in the 6th inning. Now, Washington is the home team, so you're probably not going to get that bottom of the 9th, as it were. But the idea that 4 more runs couldn't be scored, I think that's possible, too, because you're not going to get the A relievers in that game with a 6-run margin.
Yeah, and it's plus money right now, so you have the choice. You put it in right now at plus 120 on 15.5, or you wait just another half inning, and it'll be 14.5 minus odds. So you pick and choose which way you want to go. In-game live, game day continues here on the grid.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith.
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift from the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out of the 1st inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the 1st inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling you, those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minka Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in game live. Game day here on the grid. Scott and Dane Martinez in for Dave Sherapan as we check out a little baseball and keeping an eye on the WNBA. We got runners on base up in Toronto. Second and third. Looks like nobody out for the Blue Jays. Bottom of the fourth inning. Yeah, this game, Dane, listen, you still need 6 more runs. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you need 1 or 2, but this does have, 11-9, whatever the last night's score was, 10-9, written all over it again. And they're keeping the starters in there because both the bullpens have been used up so much over the last couple of days. So, I do think you're going to hit it. We discussed it. I mean, are the Yankees really going to get swept? You grab them. Listen, Toronto's probably going to score a run. You get the Yankees right now, plus 164. I probably would wait for this inning to get done and let's see where the dust settles before I put a Yankee bet in. But, I mean, ultimately, are they really going to lose, 4 straight up in Toronto and really fall out of first place, even though technically they are because of a tiebreaker goofy thing in second place? But hard not to like the Yankees plus odds right now.
I hear that, but I actually think the over is the better play. In fact, Scott, I've checked, and there is now Clark Schmidt has been pulled. Clayton Beater is in for the Yankees now. Who? I don't know.
Who?
The answer to your question. Clayton Beater. So remember what I just talked about, the quote-unquote rough underbelly of the bullpen? I think if you look up rough underbelly of the bullpen in the encyclopedia, you get a picture of Clayton Beater, for goodness sakes, right? So that goes to that narrative. And like you said, men on second and third, now 1 out with Toronto hitting. So I think I agree with you about the Yankees, but I also think that in that game, I would say that the over is probably the best play. And then over in the WNBA, again, the Liberty have extended their lead, Scott. They are now up 7 in that one. The Lynx have cut into their lead. So the 2 best teams, I believe, record-wise in the WNBA. And that's why I call it the prototypical spot, right? You have good team off to slow start. It definitely provides a live betting opportunity for those of you who want to become smarter here on the grid.
Yeah. Looking at Indiana, too. Now the Liberty up 10. They may cover the original number heading into the fourth quarter.
We saw them down 9, I think, the first time we talked about it.
Yep. It's amazing. They went from being down 9 to up 10 and being 2.5 point, I saw anyway, underdogs to now laying 12.5. More than the number they were to start the game. Crazy. You want to take a flyer on the Sparks, thinking the third quarter was the be all end all, little regression, not that bad. I still don't get why Indiana. I mean, I understand why Indiana was the underdog, but to me it was a stupid. Like I get it, they're going to celebrate, but they're terrific at home. If they could win the Commissioner's Cup without Caitlin Clark, they certainly beat an 8-8 Las Vegas team. To make them a 4.5 point underdog, that to me was just crazy, man. You'll never get a liver dog than what you got there, and they're up 20, point being. So,
do you think, Scott? I mean, like you said, the Aces are a 500 team this year. However, over the last 2 or 3 years, the Aces have been one of the best teams in the NBA. So, do you think that there was just kind of some public idea overvaluing what Las Vegas was?
Yeah, maybe. And, and nothing for nothing, Dane. That's dumb for the WNBA. Now, maybe they'll say, well, Scott, we don't know who's going to be in the championship game. All right, maybe. But you know what? Somebody is. So, the quick turnaround. You can't have it. If you want to tell the whole world that this Commissioner's Cup is the be-all, end-all, and we should really look into it, you can't make a team then play in the Commissioner's Cup and then 2 days later have to play a regular season game again. Just give the league 2 days off. And don't worry about who's playing in it. I mean, it's silly to have them, celebrate and think they won something, and then 2 days later they're back on the court playing another meaningless regular season again. That's dumb. Play it on a Friday. You got to give them at least 2 days off. That's what I would say.
I think that's fair. I would want to go into the WNBA schedule in general, because when you say 2 days off, like that actually doesn't sound too short of a turnaround. You know what I mean? I think about the NBA, for example. Teams play back-to-back in the regular season. I wonder, I don't think in the WNBA season it's like that as much, and there's kind of specific days of the week where you get more action, and Thursday, I think, is one of those days with a heavy WNBA card in general. So maybe it even has to do something with like the TV rights and things of that nature where they couldn't move their specific window. But it's not like it's a back-to-back, and like they're professionals. They should be able to kind of put that mentally away and get ready for the next one.
I guess it's just, and you had 5 games, so you had 10 teams. So chances are pretty darn good you're going to get at least one of those teams. Yeah. And as it turned out, both were. So, but anyway, baseball board again, the typical betting, Dane, we were saying in one of the breaks. I love the over team total LA Angels yesterday with this Didier Fuentes dude. What he's still doing in the Braves starting rotation, I don't know. They scored 2 in the first inning. I'm thinking, this is an easy bet. Should have doubled the bet, right? Then, of course, they take him out after 3 at the first sign of any more trouble, and they only score 1 more run the rest of the way, and it turns out to be a loser. That's betting. So tonight, I don't do it, because the pitcher isn't pitching, and the Angels already have 4 runs as they play in the bottom of the 5th inning, and no doubt they'll get their 5 runs tonight like I needed last night. 4-0 over the Braves.
They sure will, but there's a lot of game left in that one. I know it's a 4-run deficit, but, you can get almost 5, now plus 560 for the Braves to come on back on some level, or you can get almost even money for the Braves plus 3.5 runs. I don't know if you think the Angels are going to go running away with this one, but, I think there's some consideration on the Atlanta side on the comeback could be interesting.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm really down on this Braves team. I know they won last night. Yeah, I just don't like what I see out of them. I watch, we all watch, an inning or 2 innings of all these teams. You get a feel for them. But I actually watched a lot of the Braves Mets when they were in town earlier in the week. And man, I didn't like what I saw. Their lineup, they can't hit their way out of a paper bag. I looked it up, Dane. It's not quite a quarter, but it's almost a quarter of their games they've scored 1 run or less. It is a quarter of their game they've scored 2 runs or less. They just don't score. So I'm down on them. I am. So normally I'd say, yep, you know what, give me the Braves to come back at home. But if anything, there must be something going on because it's 4-0, bottom 5, and they're giving us 8.5 still as a total. But I don't think I like the under 9 to start the game. I don't think they're getting to 9 runs with that Braves offense. That's where I would go.
That's fair. I mean, to play devil's advocate, once the weather starts getting hot in hot Atlanta, the ball does travel a little bit different. Remember, Acuna was out for much of the first month or 2 of the season. That could be a little bit of a benefit, but I understand Atlanta has certainly underperformed. I do want to also update you. My guy Joey Cantillo threw 2 innings of work. Of 2 innings of work. He has 2 strikeouts, has only allowed 1 hit, 25 pitches in. So that's not bad. That game's still scoreless. I really want to see if Cantillo comes out for the bottom of the 3rd because, like you said, you saw his game log, right? A lot of 1 and 2 inning starts. He does seem to be pitching well. If I'm the Guardians, I let him keep going. And if he keeps going, we talked about it for the strikeout per inning. That does look potentially good for him to get to over the 3.5, like we said.
Yeah, little blast from the past. When Dane and I used to host this show on a regular basis, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we used to have a segment, Dane, what was it, the Ultimate Universe? Or
the Alternate Universe. Right? The Alternate
Yeah.
Universe, yes.
Did you alternate universe Cantillo tonight? Did you take him for 5? It's over 3.5, but did you go up like 5 or 6 even?
No, because to your point there were some books that weren't even hanging the prop at all, right? So the idea that they would then hang the ladder prop, I couldn't find that at all. But I do like that callback right there to the alternate universe, to be sure. And because even if I saw it, I don't think I would have because of what we were talking about, the idea that we don't know how long he's going to go. And I thought he was going to be able to go long enough maybe to get to the 4, but for him to get to 5 and 6, then I would have really had to kind of plant the flag on the idea that he would get a normal 5 innings of work, and we'll see about that.
Yeah. Blue Jays scored 2, 5-3 now, still batting in the 4th. Cap Farrar, Pub Sports Radio, talk some baseball with him next.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith.
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift for the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out in the first inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the first inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling you, those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minka Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, Game Day here on the grid, cruising along Scott and Dane, hour number 1 of our 2-hour extravaganza. I've got a whole bunch of baseball. Let's talk a little baseball with a good buddy of ours. You see and hear him all the time here on the grid from pubsportsradio.com. Check out all the work. Nice little website. Get a lot of nice little things there, including Mr. Cab Farrar's podcast and everything else that he does. Cab, Scott, and Dane, how are you tonight, bud? What's going on?
Oh, just... First off, I got to say happy 4th of July Eve to you guys. Thanks for having me up here with y'all. Trying to make a little extra money so, maybe the ridiculous fireworks won't seem as ridiculous to spend money on tomorrow. But, enjoying baseball tonight, guys. Got a couple. What were you going to say, Scott?
I was going to say, just don't blow off any hands, all right? Do me a favor.
JPP yourself, that's all, right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah.
And you need to spend more money on them anyway because those fireworks come from China and they got some tariffs on them these days.
Hey, they're expensive, man. Yeah, I'm more of a fan of watching other people shoot them off, anyways. But
yeah. There you go. 5 games going on now. Some blowouts, some close games. Anything on the board before we get to the games that have yet to begin that you like in progress right now for us?
I know sometimes people like to just go ahead and fade the idea of a team sweeping another team, but the later this game gets, with Cleveland and Chicago being tied, the more I like the Cubs here. We're heading into the 3rd inning here. I do not like to live bet teams when they're up to bat, but the Cubs have 2 outs right now. I would not hate a bet on the Cubs here at the top of the 4th inning. I stayed off of them pregame simply because of the fact that, I'm in the same boat when you're traveling, whether it's back home or to another city. After you finish, I don't always like to be there. But I think the Cubs right now live are great. I think they can get this 3rd game.
All right, fair enough. There are 3 games that have yet to go so far in Major League Baseball. One of them is a battle in the National League West with the Giants seeing the Snakes in Arizona. And it sounds like you have an interesting bet backing one of the newest Giants.
Okay, 2 things I'll say about this. First thing I'll say is when I bet player props, guys, I stick with it. I heard somebody compare it to a stock, right? I'm not looking to just get on it right that one day, and if it misses, I'm done with it. If I'm going to bet a prop, there's going to be a reason and an angle that I'm going at it. Rafael Devers is one of those people that I've started this angle on. I'm 1-1 when I bet him, and I know that his numbers do not indicate, hey, this is somebody you want to back. But the second point I'll make is one of 2 things will happen here. Either the 3-time All-Star starts hitting the baseball and starts looking more like Rafael Devers, or he's just going to suck from now on. And I'm going to tell you guys, I don't think the latter is what's going to happen. I think Rafael Devers is going to start getting more and more comfortable. You know, the trade was probably just as much of a shock to him as it was to the fans and to the rest of the dugout. And this is only his second series on the road. I kind of like the road as a place to get comfortable because it feels a little bit more similar to what you're used to, whereas San Francisco is a new home ballpark, and it's like, hey, this is home. This is a shock. I think he hits his groove here on this road trip. And I took his total bases, over 1.5 total bases, kind of a simple bet. But I like Devers tonight.
All right. Dodgers, White Sox, those that laid a 1.5 last night lost. You know, White Sox, Cab, are actually pretty good on the run line. They're like the second or third best run line team in all of baseball. They got a lot of, one-run losses, 21 after last night. It's minus 290 on the Dodgers. I mean, do you take a flyer on the White Sox? How do you attack that one, if at all?
You know, I think the worst, personally, look, I'm not trying to take a shot at anyone. I think the worst bet in baseball is minus 1.5 on a run line. Honestly, I think it's a terrible way to invest your money if you're looking to invest long term. And I know somebody who, if it's a minus 300, they're fading the other side. It's just what they're going to do because, you know, the thought is it's baseball. Nobody should be a minus 300 or worse. And I do understand that. And they were profitable a couple years ago doing it just blindly throughout the season. Yeah. So that has changed this season. It is not working out for them. And I'm not one of those people, but I could not back the Dodgers. And if I was going to back the Dodgers, I'd have to get creative. I'd have to take an Ohtani prop with the Dodgers, you know, just on the money line, or two people in the lineup that I think are going to get a hit in the Dodgers money line, something like that. That's how I would bet that game if I was going to bet it. Again, I don't have money on it personally, but I think there is a way to make money if that's how you want to bet it.
Yeah. Kev, I want to follow up on that because I remember last year when the White Sox were absolutely horrible, there was a stretch where out of their like 45 losses, only like 6 of them were 1-run losses or something like that. So you could have done that fading the Chi Sox last year when they were, you know, generationally poor. But I want to ask you more about what you just said because I personally, I'm not laying a minus 290 on the Dodgers, right? So that kind of leaves other, like you said, I think you used the term get creative. You know, and so another rule of thumb here for most sharp bettors is to not bet parlays. So why would you kind of prefer to add a couple of legs? I think Scott did that in his same game parlay. He's got an Ohtani hit. Right. I think you have a Teoscar hit, right? To kind of get that number to a little bit more palatable instead of the run line. Tell me why you would choose that route as opposed to the run line, where tonight, you know, the Dodgers, for example, who are minus 120, minus 290 on the run line, on the money line. If you get them on the run line, it's a much more, you know, serviceable minus 130. So why would you string legs together?
I think so I'm going to answer that 2 ways. One, another way to attack that without parlaying, if you just don't want to parlay, is always a team total, right? Because a team can score. I mean, you could score 10 runs and still lose a baseball game. It happens every year. I mean, we see it all the time, right? So a team total is another way to get a little bit, like I said, creative. I don't mind parlays. There's 2 ways I don't mind it. I'm okay. And this is how I invest, guys. I'm not talking about just like to try and win, you know, picks. Like when I'm putting my money on things, I'm okay with 2 legs. That's me personally. I will take 2 things because 100%, we all know the less variable, the better chance you have to win. And I don't hate, you know, sometimes I'll have fun with longer parlays like you guys were talking about where I'll put several legs together. But that's a fun bet. I'm not investing serious money. I think it's okay to take a player to get a hit and a team to win, because if the team's going to win, people got to get a hit. Okay. So who's your player that's going to hit the baseball if they're going to win? Right. So that's why I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah. You're at the mercy of, sites like FanDuel. I know they probably all do it. They just, they correlate it so you don't get the true value of a typical parlay, but that's part of the price of doing business. Cab, great job as always. Check out all his work. HubSportsRadio.com. Thanks, Cab. We'll do it again soon.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift for the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out of the first inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the first inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling you, those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minka Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane, hour number 1, closing it out. Thanks again, Cab Farrar. Pub Sports Radio is the place for his podcast, Pub Sports Radio Network. So, last segment, hour number 1, little time for a little Black Cloud play of the day. All right, just picking up the conversation on how you attack this Dodger game, right? Got burned last night. I don't like laying the 3-1 with the Black Cloud. We'll do that for the trends, you know that, but we don't do that Black Cloud because this is just generally one bet. So won't lay the 1.5. Again, I expect the Dodgers to win, but even the 1.5 is minus 150, 160. So how are we going to go about this? How about Dustin May, pitcher for the Dodgers, strikeouts over 4.5? Little juice, minus 136, but that, compared to, minus 290, it's not that bad. 5 strikeouts is our goal, right? White Sox are kind of middle of the pack strikeout team. They're not horrible. They're not, a non-strikeout team. He's hit this number 10 of his 15 starts. He's 10-5. They used up a good portion of their bullpen yesterday, 2 days ago. I think he's going to have every opportunity in the world to stay in this game. Let him go 6 innings if he can. He's basically is a 6-inning pitcher. I thought about the over outs, but I'm going to go with the strikeouts. It's 4.5. And this is just a typical, had the Angels yesterday team total, right? They don't get there today. They already got their 5 runs. Same thing. We're all playing Clayton Kershaw yesterday to have 5, 6, 7 strikeouts. He needed 3. He barely got the 3. He was lucky to get the 3, right? So now tonight will be the day the White Sox strike out a ton because they were probably focused on non-striking out. So little hunch play, but I would be surprised. Like I said, he's 10-5 getting 5 strikeouts. I'm going to go over Dane, 4.5 strikeouts, Dustin May for the Dodgers tonight.
I like that, Scott. And, something I also thought about, you remember when you referenced that alternate universe, right? Sometimes you play it above, but you could also be conservative. So if you like the Dustin May over 4.5 strikeouts, and we're talking about how to play these Dodgers at minus 290, what about Dodgers money line minus 290, and then May not to go over 4.5, but to get 4 or more strikeouts, which would also be then like another minus 190. Then you put the minus 290 with the minus 190, and all of a sudden that becomes a little bit more digestible as well. And just like Cab finished telling us, maybe 2 legs being okay, but you even get conservative with that second leg of the strikeouts.
Yeah, that's not bad. And FanDuel, they can be a little finicky on what you could parlay, but I'm pretty sure you could parlay that. So that's it. You lower it down to half a strikeout, which is huge, believe it or not. And then you just assume the Dodgers are going to win, right? They're not going to. They don't lose to teams like the White Sox, especially at home. Even last night's a perfect example. Down 2 runs, bottom of the 9th inning, and they win.
So you can put it together, Scott. I just did it. Okay, so Dodgers money line, which by the way, has moved down to minus 270 from minus 290. So there's some people just taking the White Sox side. And then you can bet the Dustin May alt strikeouts. You said his normal line, and it is 4.5, right? But just 4+ strikeouts, which by the way, they're not giving you anything. That's another minus like 300. But you put it together, and then the 2-leg parlay becomes minus 140, which if you're looking for ways to bet the Dodgers and not have to lay the 3 bills, you can get to minus 140 with the conservative strikeouts for their pitcher.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it, Dane? I mean, his normal number is 4.5. All right, little juice, minus 136, but that's kind of the norm with these.
It's like minus 300.
Yeah, crazy. It's just crazy. Like, I don't know. Why do they do that? I don't know. Because they know people are going to put it in parlays. I mean, I guess would be my only guess.
Because they know that it gives them maybe a liability in parlays to do
Right.
exactly what I'm talking about, right? So I was surprised to see it too at the minus 300 or whatever it was, because I think if not, more people would do it and maybe they'd have a little bit of liability there. They know.
Yeah. They put these things. Like, they just know, okay, it's going to be a parlay. So why make it minus 250? Like it probably should be, right? Minus 136, one less strikeout. All right, well, we'll change it about 100 points, 240, 250 or so, right? But maybe someone would still play that straight. But if they say 9 times out of 10, the person that's playing this is going to put it in a parlay, well, we might as well make it minus 350 and lower it.
It's completely different than the data points, right? Of like how many times does he actually get to 4 versus how many times he actually gets to 5. If you look at the game log or whatever, they obviously shave off some value there because they know of the liability of people stringing them together.
Yeah. You're holding on. If you bet the Liberty originally, they're up 11. The line was 10.5, and there's 58 seconds left to go in the game. Now it's down to 10, 87-77. Even in a blowout, the boys in Vegas know what they're doing. We'll let you know what the final score is when we come back in Game Live.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith.
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift for the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out of the first inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the first inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling you, those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. It is in-game live game day here on the grid. Hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Scott Wetzel, Dane Martinez in for Dave Sherapan as we check out a little baseball, a little WNBA. Final seconds of the Liberty laying 10.5, and it's right at that number. We'll double check that. We got a couple of baseball games that start this hour as well. We'll break it all down, including a quirky little thing, Dane, that we brought up yesterday at 5-1, and it hit. It is amazing. It's the weirdest thing. Otherwise, we'll get into it since I opened up the can of worms, right?
Yeah,
so,
go ahead. Let me know. I'm intrigued.
Yes, San Fran, and don't ask how I did this, right? But when we do all these goofy things, whether it's SGPs or Black Lives, I'm always looking for different bets, right? So I wanted to do a bet on Arizona, and I looked at Ketel Marte, one of their best hitters, right? And I looked up, and he had 2 straight games without getting a base hit. I said, all right, this dude's not going to go 3 straight, right? And then I said, well, how many times has he gone 3 straight? Found out he had not gone 3 straight games without a base hit this year. He'd only gone 3 times, 2 straight games without getting a base hit. So then I said, all right, let's see what he did the 3rd game. And after each 3 times that he didn't have a hit for 2 straight games, he hit a home run. Hit it the first time. He hit 2 the second time he did it, and he hit another one. So he actually has 4 homers, right? So I said yesterday, me and Joe Madden, we were saying, you know what? You got to play a hunch. You just have to play a hunch on this guy to hit a home run. They're giving you 5-1, and lo and behold, the guy hit another home run. He only has 18 homers, Dane. So he's got 5 homers in games in which he did not get a base hit the preceding 2 games. I mean, is that fluky? Does he get ticked off that he went hitless for 2 games? I don't know, but I'm just hoping. I'm not going to watch. I'm hoping he goes 2 games without getting a base hit again, because I'm going to bet his home run prop and see if he does it again. How weird is that?
I mean, that's a great pull. That's a great pull, Scott. Honestly, it's the fact that 30% of all of his home runs for the entire season happen in that scenario, right? And generally, my general reaction is that yes, that is fluky, but there could be something to it, right? He goes 0 for 8. Maybe he's taking extra BP the following day. Maybe he's maybe he's doing a little bit more film study on tomorrow's pitcher, something like that, right? So, I mean, there is a plausible narrative which could lead to that, probably with increased, study, practice, focus, what have you. But I will still say that's probably a very small sample size to start to think that is actually the reason it happened. I think we have a final, and I think, what'd you say the original number was? Was it 10.5? Because I think the Liberty wound up, won by 10. Boy, don't they know.
Yeah, 89-79, which is good in that, the right team covered. If you had the Sparks, as we did on the podcast, getting 10.5, you were leading, for goodness sake. You had no business not at least covering. So, I always like to have the right team, if you will, cover. They did in these toss-up games where anything could have happened right in the final minutes. So, 89-79. So they
I will say this,
get the cover.
You talked about this, because you had that play already and thinking about middling it, right? Yeah. But it was also a prototypical in-game live kind of spot, right? Where the Liberty at home, the better team, we knew that run was going to come at some point. And if you remember in the earlier part of the show, Scott, we said the same thing about the Minnesota Lynx. The Minnesota Lynx were 11.5-point favorites home against Washington. They were down at the same time. We talked about them, and what do you know? The cream rises to the top, Scott. Now, early 3rd quarter, what do you know? Minnesota is up by 10. They may cover their original number as well. I think when we saw them, they were down by almost double digits, but these are the prime spots. If you remember, Scott, you harken back to the alternate universe. Didn't we also have some kind of siren or some kind of signal we used to when we saw this kind of opportunity, right? Or the see something, say something thing that we used to have. These are the exact kinds of things. So if you're watching in game live, right, and you're using this as a second screen experience and you're trying to get smarter, these are the kinds of situations you want to look for across the board. Better team, at home, slow start. It stands to reason. And I would say, Scott, I don't know if you agree, especially in basketball, because inherently, I believe basketball is a game of runs, right? How many times do you see a 13-2 run, a team calling a timeout to stop the momentum? I really think anytime you see that team, in essence, call timeout to try to stop momentum, bet them, because the pendulum will wind up swinging back the other way. It really is a game to run. So when you see these opportunities, I would say, especially in the NBA and WNBA, you can look to take advantage.
Yeah, you just get off the slow starts, and maybe the coach has to give them the riot act or something during a timeout, and it sparks them on a little bit. But yeah, that is the idea. It really is for in-game live. You said it. The home team, who's a double-digit or close to it anyway, favored, and get off to a bad start and actually have them trailing by 5, 6, 7 to the point where you get it at pick'em. And I don't know how many times. I'd like to know a stat of how many times a team that's been favored by double digits, trailed by double digits, and actually won the game. I bet it's a lot. I mean, I don't know how many times that's actually occurred, but the percentage of those times that they occur, I bet they come back 70, 80% of the time. Though those teams don't lose. They really don't. So anyway, so good job by the Lynx, and then good job by the Liberty. At least they did win by 10. 8 straight non-covers now. Oh, by the way, for the Liberty, 8 straight. Looks like they're on the verge of covering, but 8 in a row is 8 in a row. Blue Jays tacked on another run, Dane, 6-3 now over the Yanks as they bat top of the 6th inning. Over/under is up to 12.5. We put it at 11.5. That's looking a little bit better. Mets and Brewers, getting Lindor out of the leadoff spot, that hasn't helped any. 1-1 with Milwaukee, top of the 6th. We haven't talked too much about this game. Over/under is 5.5. Juice to the over. I like the Brewers in the game just because who are the Mets at this point? I don't care if they're playing at home or on the moon to be favored over anybody. So, and it was getting plus 134. I'd still take a stab on Milwaukee if I didn't have a dog already in the fight.
Yeah, listen, the Mets have not been playing well lately. You're right. They are minus 172 at home. If anything, you would take the Milwaukee side. I agree with that. At least, and to be quite honest, in a 1-1 game in the 6th inning, I'm taking the plus money regardless. I'm not laying 172 in a tie game in the 6th inning. The other thing I'd say, remember, my guy Joey Cantillo, right? He has finally been pulled. He just now has been pulled. However, he went 3 1/3 innings. And in those 3 1/3 innings, he struck out 5 Chicago Cubs. Okay, so here's the thing we need to know. Remember, we talked about this. I said going into the game, 36 strikeouts in 28 innings. The way I like to look at it, Scott, is are you over a strikeout per inning or not, right? He was legitimately almost like 1.25, kind of strikeouts per inning. So I really just thought it was about could he get stretched out? Now, he only went 3 1/3 innings, but he threw 68 pitches. So, Scott, we were talking about it in the break. What does that mean for his next time out, right? Because if he goes 68 pitches this time, Ortiz is on paid leave. He's probably going to get another time through the pitching rotation. Maybe they stretch him out even more. I would be really interested to see what they hang here because, even if they go up to 4.5, I think it may be something to consider his next start.
Yeah. You wonder, I guess it's the pitch count. What was his pitch total? Maybe they gave him like 60 pitches today and then let him, try and stretch it out a little bit.
He went 68.
68. That's like, so I'm wondering why they didn't just let him finish out the inning. He put 2 runners on, but he is allowed just 2 hits, 3 walks though. So, under normal circumstances, he would still be in the game. I would think in a scoreless game, 4th inning, let him work himself out of it. So, but that's a good sign. Now the question is, is the strikeout total next time 4.5? I don't think it would be 5.5, but it probably would be a little more than 3.5. Mark Drumheller, baseball talk at fantasylife.com. Coming up next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him
Rip. You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, game day here on the grid. Scott Dane Martinez, hour number 2, checking out all the baseball action. Do have a couple of quick little updates here. Tigers have scored again. It's now 9-6. It was once 9-3. You never know. The over 15.5 looking a little better because they got a couple of runners on with one out, first and third, as a matter of fact. And now the over-under is at 17.5, and the Tigers at +5 and change. Let's talk a little baseball with our good buddy Mark Drumheller, host at FantasyLife.com. You see and hear him all the time here on the grid. Mark, Scott, and Dane, how are you today, bud?
Doing fantastic. Listen, the Fantasy Life magazine hit the shelves this past week, so we're all excited. Football right around the corner. You know, there might be a little bit of a write-up. You might find me in the wide receiver section doing a couple quick summaries. It's a hot rumor, but everyone should check it out. But listen, it's the dog days of summer now, but it's time to get ready. Football is going to be right around the corner.
Yeah, for sure. So until we have football, though, in the more near term, we've got some West Coast baseball here the rest of the night. One of the things we've been talking about all night long, Mark, is, you know, the Dodgers are minus 290 favorites at home against the White Sox, right? And, you know, obviously conventional wisdom is that the Dodgers are going to win this game. A lot of people don't want to lay a minus 290. And we've had a lot of different conversations and approaches here about how you could bet the Dodgers. Would you bet the Dodgers maybe on a run line? Would you bet the Dodgers and then correlate some props to kind of make that number drop down a little bit? What do you like when it comes to Chicago and Los Angeles later tonight from Chavez Ravine?
Yeah, is it better? I really love these types of spots because it forces you to get creative, right? Like, how can we extract value from this Dodgers team without paying $3? You know, is it that type of favorite? And, you know, I was looking at it, and one of the things that stuck out to me was, like, Dodgers' first 5 is right in the minus 238 area, right? Still a little pricey for me. Don't want to lay that on the first 5, but they should hit Savali, man. And Savali's over 2.5 runs is at minus 135. So listen, it's not even money. You're going to lay a little bit of juice, but I'm okay. You know, being a baseball bettor and MMA bettor, I'm okay with laying minus 135. That's no problem here. You run the risk of, you know, Savali throwing 100 pitches, getting pulled a little early, right? His under 14.5 outs, I believe, was it like plus money, 15.5. It kind of got moved. So now that's around minus 170. So there's a lot of different ways, but I would just attack Savali. Like, I don't think he's going to get past 5 innings. I think they're going to let up a ton of runs here. But to me, I can't reconcile the fact that Dodgers' first 5 is minus 238, but Savali to let up 3 runs is only minus 135. Like, I think the Dodgers should hit him. So I really like the over 2.5 runs there.
Yeah. And I tell you, the other thing, Mark, is, they play a series starting tomorrow in Colorado. So I'm thinking they're going to tell Zavala, you know what, bud? You talked your way out of Milwaukee. Welcome to Chicago. This is what you get. You're gonna have to take one for the team tonight. So if he's still in there in the fourth or fifth inning after giving up 7-8 runs, that's why. So, and sometimes that's a good thing to look at, right, Mark? I mean, look and see if there's an off day tomorrow. Then maybe they'll be a little conservative with the pitcher. But if they have to, start another road trip and things don't go well, like why put in your bullpen? If you got to play tomorrow, especially if it's a winnable game like at Colorado, like crazy enough that Chicago is, why use them up tonight, right?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things you have to look at is what the team has the following day, especially when it comes to bullpen usage. A lot of the things I like to attack is you see these extra inning games, these games get drawn out, these bullpens get worn, or if someone gets shelled the first 3 innings and they got to go to the pen, early, that's a good spot to kind of hop in the middle of the next game. You got a tired bullpen, right? You try and take advantage there, maybe with an over, maybe with a money line, for getting plus money on a favorite at that point if the other team scores early. So there's a lot of different ways bettors can attack it. But I really like this spot tonight with the Dodgers. I think they're going to score some runs. I mean, best lineup in baseball, right? They lead the MLB in home runs, slugging percentage, you name it, they hit the ball. So they should have no problem doing that tonight.
Hey, Mark, let's talk Royals and Mariners here. Wise man once told me, you look at the highest total, go over it. Look at the lowest total, go under it. It is only 7.5, but these Kansas City Royals have really struggled to score. I also like the Marine layer up there in the Pacific Northwest. Not a lot of runs are scored in that ballpark, whether it be the total or anything else. What do you like when it comes to Royals and Mariners tonight?
Yeah, I think this is under. I think it's under all the way. You can play full game under. You can play first 5 under. But I would just play the full game, or you can pick either side, play the team total. Both teams really good bullpens, right? We're talking a lot about bullpens tonight. Mariners, Royals, they're pretty steady in the bullpen. They should be able to get the job. Neither lineup's really overpowering. So that's one of the things you look at, and I think that with these two teams, like the line kind of tells you it's going under. And sometimes, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. You just take what's there, take what the market gives you, hit the under and move on.
San Fran, Arizona, the other late game. Giants on a nasty 23-8 under run. So they did win last night, but they've been struggling 5-12 their last 17. Where are we going with this one?
Well, let's stay talking about bullpen, right? The Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen, that's a Romeo and Juliet level tragedy this year. I mean, the way they're giving away games like it's a tax write-off. Like, they're just like, go ahead, take it. And I think that's what you do. You sit this one out, you watch it develop, you wait till we get to inning 4, 5, 6. Is Arizona winning? Can we get some plus money here, a decent price with San Francisco? Then you hit them, right? Because San Francisco, one of the best bullpens of baseball. I think their bullpen ERA is like slightly under 3. But if not, it's right in that neighborhood. So that's the kind of thing you look at. Like, you don't even have to play this one before it starts. Just let it play. See the best price you can get on the Giants. If they're trailing late, you tag it, and you take your chances against that Diamondbacks bullpen.
Hey, Mark, only got a minute left, and we were talking before you came on about these Atlanta Braves. Has there really been a more kind of disappointing team so far in this season than Atlanta? They are down. They're getting shut out right now, 5-0 in the bottom of the 8th. Maybe the ball starts flying when it gets warm down there in Fulton County, but these Braves have not looked the way they were expected to so far this season.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I did take a little piece of Atlanta plus 4.5 when they went up 5 or even money. So I'm hoping they can at least squeeze a run out and get me some money tonight. But the way it's looking, it's not so good. But we're going to hold our breath for Atlanta.
10 seconds. Calgary, 4.5-point underdog. CFL leading 8-0 against Winnipeg early on. We're going to grab Winnipeg laying 2.5.
I'm on Calgary team total over in this one. I think the Winnipeg defense slightly overrated, but we're going to find out. I like they got on the board early.
All right, there you go. Little CFL action. How about that? Little bonus. Mark Drumheller. Check out all his work and the magazine, fantasylife.com. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift for the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out of the first inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the first inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling you, those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know what to get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard, and then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minka Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Thanks again, Mark Drumheller, FantasyLife.com. Check out the website, FantasyLife.com, for all your fantasy football and baseball needs, and his podcast as well. So runs are coming in Washington, not quite as much as we expected. Dane, Scott, Wetzel, Dane Martinez here on the grid in Toronto. First up, Washington. Tigers cut the deficit to 9-7 after being down 9-3, but then the Nationals just tacked on another run. Bottom of the 8th inning, Washington leads at 10-7. Over-under now is 17.5. I mean, you got 17 runs. If you want to lay the minus 144, if you think the Nats or the Tigers are going to score one more run. But the Yankees and Blue Jays, that's where it's kind of stopped. I mean, this had 10-7 written all over it there as well, but still 6-3. Bottom of the 6th inning, a very slow-moving game. Man, that game started at 7 o'clock, did it not? And we're 2.5 hours in almost, and it's still only in the bottom of the 6th inning. This is old-school baseball. Anyway, 6-3, Toronto.
A less manageable over 3-hour game. I would not bet that total in Washington, Scott. And the reason is because the Nationals are the home team. Okay, so you're not going to get that bottom of the 9th right now, okay? And we are in the bottom of the 8th already, so you really only have about 5 outs to get that run. So I would stay away from that. I'm feeling decent about the Yankees-Blue Jays. We talked about it when it was at 11.5. It's already gone over the pregame total of 8.5 because that game's still in the bottom of the 6th. So the Yankees are going to have 3 more at-bats. Toronto will have, at least 2 plus what they're doing in the bottom of the 6th. They do have a runner on first right now. So I still feel relatively decent about the Yankees-Blue Jays total. And I think the other one of note is that the Mets have taken a 3-1 lead at home against Milwaukee.
Yeah, now laying 16-1. It's amazing the numbers you can get, playing these underdogs. Although the VIGs are crazy. You're not getting 14 on the other side. You're only getting plus 750. So it's an 850-point VIG, which is just criminal. It really is. But, so 3-1, and the Mets have runners on second and third still batting. So I'd probably hold off and let the dust settle and see where we stand after 6 before I put any more money on Milwaukee. Couple games here, Dane, starting in about 15 minutes or so. We'll start with San Fran, Arizona. I know you're a big prop guy, so let me throw some of the pitcher props. I took a look at these. Robbie Ray, starting pitcher for the Giants. His strikeout total is 5.5. It's juiced minus 160 or so, but he's hit 6 strikeouts in 11 of his last 15 starts, 11-4. His total outs, which I'm getting into this year, is 17.5, which means he'd have to go 6 innings. He's gone 6 innings 11 of his 17 total starts. So they seem to be begging for you to bet the over on these, albeit juiced. Any interest in Robbie Ray props?
Yeah, I like the strikeouts. I like the strikeouts. I think Robbie Ray can also go, like you said, at least 5 or 6 innings. And I looked at it again. You know, they were hanging the 5.5 strikeouts, right, for Robbie Ray.
Right.
You want to do the conservative alternate for him to get just 5 strikeouts, minus 350, Scott. So that's what they do again. I was wondering, because, you know, we were talking about the correlated one, right? I was almost going to try and get cute and bet the Dodgers on the money line, and then the Robbie Ray conservative strikeout prop, thinking, hey, maybe if it's not even in the same game, you wouldn't get that. But, you know, they really make you pay for that extra strikeout. I think that would be a good, you know, data project, right, Scott? Like, how many times do you lose a strikeout prop just by the hook under? You know, like, and is it worth it to go that one under? How many times does that happen? Because the books would suggest here that, you know, there's an incredible value of just that one strikeout under, that they don't go under by more than one strikeout because they're not giving you any kind of number or opportunity for that.
Yeah. You know, it kind of reminds me of shots on goal. But see, shots on goal is generally 3 or less. You get some guys that average 4, but, you know, the common number is 3. So, yeah, if you go over 2 versus over 3, that's a big difference. So I get why they would charge you more if you went over 2 for a guy versus over 3. But over, you know, when you're dealing with 6, it really shouldn't be a 200-point difference. It really shouldn't. But, okay, if you want to go over Robbie Ray, it's minus 158. Or if you want to do the 5, it's, you know, minus 250. Brandon Pfaadt, pitcher for Arizona. Not quite. There's a decent one with Pfaadt. His outs 15 and a half. He's gone past the 5th inning 0 times in his last 6 starts. 7 and 9 on the season. But he hasn't done it in 6 straight starts, Dave.
That's interesting. So, you know, I would actually look at his under on his strikeout prop, which right now is at 4.5 and plus money to the under if you don't think he's going to go that far into the game.
Yeah, that's a little weird. They would give you 15 and a half after going 6 straight. We'll look at the White Sox and Dodgers when we come back in Game 5.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith.
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift for the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out of the first inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the first inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minka Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane Martinez until the top of the hour. It'll be Cam Stewart and Gabe Morency taking over the next two right here on SportsGrid Radio and TV. We'll talk to Cam in about 10 minutes or so, get some thoughts on him on some of the baseball stuff that's going on, and maybe a little CFL as well. So, yeah, just breaking down some of the late games that start here in a little bit. This one doesn't start for another half hour or so, but still, White Sox and Dodgers, we talked a lot about it, Dane, as far as which way to attack this thing. As far as the pitcher props go, Savali versus Dustin May. I like the Dustin May, you know, that over strikeout prop 4.5. He's done that 10 of his 15 starts this year. His outs 17.5. That's pretty much an even split. It's 7 and 8 as far as how many times he's pitched 6 full innings. It is the White Sox, so I think, you know, if you were going to play that to me, I would go with 6 full innings. And then Savali on the other side, 3.5 is his strikeout prop. He's done that 4 and 4, nothing crazy there. And his outs is 15.5. This is only his 4th start as a White Sox. He's hit this 1 out of the 3 starts beforehand, only 2 out of 8 starts overall when he was pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers. So anything there interest you?
The only thing would be what you and Mark were talking about before in terms of the fact that the White Sox don't get the off day and continue their road trip, right? We all think the Dodgers are going to win. We all think the Dodgers are going to win big. The idea that Savali can kind of take one for the team, as it were, to preserve the bullpen for the following series, that would mean that he would go more than 5 1/3, even if the Dodgers get to him a little bit. So I know it sounds a little odd, but maybe the Savali over outs.
Yeah, you could get it 2 ways, right? You can get it by him pitching well, or you could get it by him pitching crazy. It sounds poor just because the game is a blowout. And listen, like I said, we're not going to use 6, 7 innings on our bullpen when we got a series with Colorado starting up. So, yeah, I do kind of like that. Little bit of a hunch play, right? Kansas City, Seattle. Interesting one here. Seth Lugo for the Royals. You know, good pitcher, right? His strikeout total is 5.5. The bad news, good news, right? The good news is he's got 7 and 7 his last 2 games, but on the season, he's only 5 and 10 getting 6 strikeouts. Seattle turned into a decent strikeout team. Like, they're in the top 10 for strikeouts, so maybe that's why it's 5.5. And like I said, he's got 14 over his last 2 starts, but I'm not comfortable, you know, going with the over there. And then his outs, 18.5, which he's only done 5 of his 15 starts. But if you go under, it's minus 192. So that's kind of tough to go under on that one.
Generally, the Mariners are one of the bigger strikeout teams in baseball. I think their strikeout percentage is like 26, 27%. They are a team that strikes out a lot. So one thing I have done generally is look at the pitchers against the Mariners and their strikeouts. I didn't look at it as much today, but I would actually lean to go ahead and go with the over on that Lugo strikeout prop. But in this game, instead of the props, I am more interested in the game total under. First 5 under. We would talk team totals under, like we were talking about with our guests earlier in this game.
Right. Anything on Logan Evans? He hasn't pitched in a month. I guess he was sent down to the minors. FanDuel only offers a strikeout prop. They do this sometimes. Sometimes they don't offer out props. I mean, if you're going to offer a strikeout prop, why wouldn't you offer an out prop, right? So, but it's 3.5 strikeouts with him, kind of like your guy Cantillo with Cleveland, in that, you know, he hasn't pitched very much this year. Was sent to the minors. He hasn't pitched in the majors in about a month. Any interest in taking a flyer on him? Kansas City, I will tell you, second least strikeouts for the Royals in all of baseball, believe it or not.
Kansas City is a contact team, to be sure, in the same way that Seattle is a strikeout team. So I guess the idea of that under is interesting, right? Because to your point, there are kind of 2 ways you can get there, right? The Royals are a contact team that don't strike out a ton, and the idea that he may not be stretched out and go long in this game and have enough opportunity to get the strikeout. So not really a big play for me, but if anything, I would lean on the under.
We did get that 7th or 18th run in Washington. I wouldn't have played it either. You know, not with 2 at bats left, right? So, but Washington scored again, so it's 11-7 as they head to the top of the 9th. So if you did play it, then you got that. Yanks have 2 runners on top of the 7th. Yeah, Yanks are threatening.
Nobody out.
Who's back? Chisholm. He's already got a home run tonight.
Yeah,
He's
so
already
that's
got
a good
one
part of
homer.
that order coming up here. So this could be a chance here. And I'm staring at it live. There's a 2-0 count on him as well. So the conditions are there. Maybe the Yankees get a couple of runs. Remember, we were looking at that live 11.5. The game has slowed down in terms of scoring in this one. I bet our boy Cam Stewart will have a lot to say with that game north of the border. But this could be an opportunity for the Yanks.
Yeah. You know, and it's almost like if you bet the, well, now it's down to 11.5 anyway. But I was going to say, even at 12.5, if you think the Yanks are going to tie at 6-6, then you're forcing a 13th run. So it's almost the same bet, whether it's 11.5 or 12.5. Still no score Cubbies and Guardians. They're giving you 3.5 at plus money, top of the 6th inning. Another slow moving game for a game, especially that's scoreless. But I'm wondering, you know, do you go over 3.5 plus money, or do you wait a half an inning and go over 2.5 minus big money, or just don't bet the over at all?
No, I don't think I'm touching it, to be quite honest. I don't think I'm touching it. I'm focused on the action I already have because I want to see if Jazz Chisholm can get these runs in. That's the most important thing to me right now.
All right.
Oh,
Dallas,
boy.
3-run homer.
Oh, boy. It looks like a double for Jazz Chisholm. So one run will score. Chisholm on second, Cody Bellinger on third. So now what we have is 6-4 Toronto, I believe, second and third, and still nobody out. So the Yankees have a good chance here to get at least one more. So this is that chance for us when we had that 11.5 we were talking about. So still nobody out, runners on second and third for the Yankees here in the top of the 7th. So.
Boy, that jump from 11.5 to 13.5 blew right, because it was 12.5. Then it went down to 11.5, like I mentioned, and they got the Chisholm double, and it just blew past the 12.5. It went right to 13.5.
Because with the run, with no outs, right? They're in essence assuming that both of these runners on base will come in to score in this inning.
Yeah, that's actually not even 13.5 is not a bad bet. You're right, with nobody out, you get a sac fly, you get a ground out.
You get to 6-6, you're guaranteed the 13th run, right?
Yeah. And chances are halfway decent. Hell, you go to extra inning. Even if you don't get any more after turn 6-6, you go to extra innings, you could get 2 more runs. So I actually, I like the over 13.5. I'm going to assume our 11.5 bet's going to win, which I really should. I know.
Well, let's not do that just yet, okay? Let's not do that just yet. I need Dominguez to put the bat on ball, right? Like a strikeout completely changes this, but I'll take a sac fly here to get 6-5, right? And kind of inch it up the hill. We do still have a little bit of an opportunity. We are still only in the top of the 7th. And, you know, Scott, that's one of the things we talked about when we used to be hosting the show years ago, the idea that we thought the books undervalued the run potential in extra innings, right? With the man starting on second base, you could start to get those picket fences in the extra innings where both the road and home team score a run to continue the game.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I know. I lost 2 under bets on Texas Ranger game. I had the one on Tuesday, was it? Today's third. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. Well, one of the days. 1-1. I'm sitting on under 8.5. Right? It's 1-1 going to extra innings, Dane, and it ended up going over the 8.5.
Oh man,
unbelievable.
That's rough.
It was 1-1. Then it was 3-1, which I was like, okay, that's good. I'd rather have you score 2 runs at that point than 1.
Right.
But then Texas, Seager hit a 2-run homer. Now it's 3-3, and I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And then they scored like 4 runs. It went blue by. It was like 11-7 or something goofy. It wasn't even close to the 8.5. It'd be 1-1 heading into extra innings. So, yeah, I've said this many times. I think there should be a bet where maybe you make less, but I can cash out after regulation. Like I win my bet instead of winning a full unit, whatever you did. Maybe you get the 4/5 of it or 3/4 of the bet. Eliminate the extra innings. I'd make that bet. I would.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You probably can cash out on that, and especially if you're late. 8.5 is the number at 1-1. They probably give you a nice little cash out there.
Please. Cam Stewart comes up next.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift from the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out of the first inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the first inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minka Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane Martinez in for Dave Sherapan as we watch a little baseball, a little WNBA, some CFL action as well. We welcome in our good buddy, takes over at the top of the hour, Mr. Cam Stewart, along with Gabe Morency. What's going on, Cam? How are you tonight, bud?
Doing pretty good, Scott. Nice to see you, Dane. Hope you're doing well. Happy 4th of July to all our friends. We'll be on the air tomorrow, 8 till 12 for all the night baseball, but hopefully everybody has a good time. I think the Yankees did just cash in a run for an out. So
yeah,
it's 6-5 right now. Runner on third, 2 outs. So what a game we got going on. What a series. I know Dane's Mr. Yankee. He'll deal with George Kurtz after 10 o'clock. The other Mr. Yankee. And I'm just kind of fighting everybody by myself. Carver's Mr. Yankee. He's more pessimistic than Dane, though. He's always like, these guys, I think they're so damn good. I'm like, I love Carver.
Walls, too.
Yeah, Walls, too. I was doing the show coast to coast with him, and he's sour on that team. But no, things are good, guys. And I like your over 11.5. I would not be shocked, actually. Like, what do we got right now, Scott? What are we looking at? I think it can even get over 13.5. We got a lot of outs in this game. I know a lot of these arms in the bullpen have been used on both sides, so I would not be shocked if we had like a 7-7 game going to extra innings or something like that. But we talked about the CFL, and I told Carver, he's like, Cam, what do you and Gabe got for the CFL tonight? I go, we're going to take the dog in the Calgary Stampeders, since it is Calgary Stampede week, and they're playing for the Stampede Trophy, despite Winnipeg arguably being the best team. They were +5, but they're winning right now. I look on Twitter, Joe Lisi's got like 9 prop bets in the CFL. It's like, whoa, we were talking we were just going to bet the game there, Joe. Like, this guy's coming out like gangbusters.
You can't even find the stats. How does he get the stats to find? Like, I go to the 4-letter network or CBS Sports. I don't even get the scores, let alone the stats for props.
It's a problem, Scott. We've been working on the website for a while, but that was me and Gabe have been complaining about this for the last 2 decades. So, yeah, it's just one of these guys. It's like, dude, who's ever doing it, like, just spend the money. Like, people are betting this stuff now. It's very, very slow. Kind of like the LPGA site. I'm like, you're like 6 holes behind. Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I got money on Minji Lee. Like, what are you guys doing to me? But, yeah, fantastic stuff. Let's take a look right now what we got in this game and see if I can give you guys anything, because it has been fantastic. And Calgary right now, they're winning the game outright. We'll take a look. It was 15-3. And we'll get some live. Is that what you got? 15-3? Yeah, I'm just going to update it. Yeah, the problem is we're already on the dog, so we're getting them +5. I sprinkled on the money line, but I would take the live under in that game. I know Gabe's probably got the over, but I think it's going to slow down a lot. Winnipeg runs the ball, and they take a lot of time off the clock. They do score, but they play a power game, while Calgary's a little bit more. They mix it up. They have very good receivers and quarterback Adams, who went to the University of Oregon. The guy's pretty mobile too. So I see a lot of clock ticking. So that's what I would take in that game. Guys, the golf, we felt good about it today. Scott, I was sitting there going, wow, we got Chris Ventura, golf detective, in the mix for like one of these first round leaders me and Carver had. And yeah, he hit a couple sideways down the stretch. What else is new? Didn't see the Gim Reaper, 9 under, Doug Gim. But there's something interesting here. The return of Max Homa. One of the guys who's really, really struggling, one of the best players in the world. He shot 8 under today, and they're posting a 12-1. At the start of the tournament, he was like more like 70. But the thing is, I watched him play today, and he looked really confident. And this is a watered-down field. I'd watch out for him at 12-1. I wish we got a little bit more, guys. So maybe if he doesn't start off with a couple pars, we can get it up over 15. But that's somebody I would look at in the tournament. And my boy got her up and get him down's doing good, Scott. Good start to the golf, but, talk to me on Sunday, because it usually goes
Hey, Cam.
crazy. Yep.
I got to ask you, we've been asking everybody today, Dodgers are minus 290, right? So when you have something like that, can you lay that kind of number? You're looking at a run line. You're trying to put it together in a parlay. How do you get a piece of the Dodgers without having to lay $3?
Yeah, a parlay piece for sure. I got to tell you, Dane, and maybe even the 1.5. I will say this. They worked their asses off for that win that night, right? On Kershaw night with the K's, and then they had to come back. And usually that's the one thing, the closer that they got to on the White Sox had an ERA of under 2, but walk. The guy threw like 13 straight balls. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? It just set up for the Dodgers. I don't know what you guys feel about this. Is that so demoralizing to Chicago that they kind of want to get out of town, and the Dodgers played like their D game and still found a way to win? I know Carrot Top, May could be pretty hot and cold, but I kind of think the Dodgers blow these guys out tonight, Dane. And I got to be honest, to your point, what are the books doing? We talk about this. You could lay minus 480 with the Dodgers and people will still put them in parlays. They're setting their lines too low. Like, if you want to attract White Sox money, you got to do better. You have to make it bigger so you actually think about it. Hey, Dane, I actually bet the Colorado Rockies today. The guys called me insane on the show, but it worked. 7-6. Rockies. Yeah, they've been covering plus 3.5s and 2.5s and actually winning outright today, Scott. I told you, I'm a
They
closet
play the
Rocky
White Sox
fan.
next.
Oh,
they
I
got a
can't
3-game
wait.
set against
The
the White
dumpster
Sox.
special?
Oh,
yeah. Rockies all the way.
That sounds like a Cam Stewart special.
Woo,
You're going to be all over
July
that series,
4th.
Cam.
Right? On July
Yeah,
4th, Kim, how many people in Colorado are going to go out of their way to go see Rockies versus White Sox tomorrow?
You know what the
5,
best thing,
10?
though? Yeah, there'll be like 100 people. The best thing about being a Rockies fan is you get in for $4. The beers cost more than a ticket. You could walk in there and go,
Great seats,
oh my
too.
God, for $100, we had a great day. We drank all day. We got wasted. It's like, okay. And you could bet on the game. So that's what you do. Like, now that the Blue Jays are actually playing well, I'm like, I know these meatballs are going to increase tickets. Like, you know what I mean? It used to be just Value City, but that's what these organizations do. You start to win and they gouge the fan. But I'd be at that. What's wrong with a Rockies game? It's still professional baseball. Kind of, Scott. Kind of.
Hey, Cam, it's the 4th of July here, right?
Yeah.
You don't celebrate it north of the border. Do you have any bets on the hot dog eating contest, my friend?
Yes, I do. Yes, we do. We actually did it today. Great question, Dane, and thank you for reminding me. Joey Chestnut under 71.5 plus 115.
Under.
We're actually me and Carver are going with the under. He missed it last year. That Italian guy who finished second. There's a thing that says winning without Chestnut. He's $160 on my site. On the other side, he's 165 and 170. That's as low as I can find. I would actually lay that because he's the champion without Chestnut. We lay 60 cents sometimes. I don't actually think it's a pretty damn good number. The record is what, 77, guys? There's no way he gets
76.
there. He's getting old. Like, what's his stomach gonna do? It's gonna I don't know. This guy's a machine, though. But
what's the highest, though? What's the highest? I think I read where he's 16-1, minus 1,600. What's the highest you would go to bet on him to win?
He's actually like minus 2,500, Scott. Like on the me and Carver went through it today on a lot of different sites.
I
you
think
can't
the
even
16
parlay
is
it.
too low.
You need a spread. We need a spread bet, like Chestnut minus 8.5 versus whatever. They should do spreads.
Minus 8.5.
Come on, guys, get it together. Yeah, exactly. Come on, 12.5.
I'm gonna lay the 25-1. Thanks, Tim.
Later, guys.
Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith.
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
9 times out of 100, when you get a gift for the boys in Vegas, what happens? The dude doesn't even get out of the first inning. I feel bad for him. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, but 7 runs in total, 5 hits, walked 2, didn't strike out a batter, and like I said, didn't get out of the first inning, got 1 out. I don't know how they do, Joe, but I'm telling you, those lines didn't make any sense.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris was hurt, and we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a 6th man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
How about I answer your question with a question, Kev?
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
I would say it's possible that you somehow, in bringing in Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be a win-now move, look around at your team and go, wait, Pickens, Minka Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt aren't on it anymore?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane Martinez in for another 5 minutes, and then it will be Cam Stewart. I appreciate Cam joining us there. Him and Gabe Morency for the next 2 on SportsGrid Radio, SportsGrid TV. Dan, I didn't get your thoughts before we get back to the baseball here, which we will before we close it up. But more details out on the Luis Ortiz situation with the Cleveland Guardians and the investigation. I didn't realize. I saw it earlier. I didn't know any of the details, but now I'm reading more about how that was like a couple of pitches that apparently flagged the boys in Vegas, which only, by the way, goes to show how it doesn't take much for the flags to get raised. Yeah, and how easy it is too, right?
Because again, you don't have to bet on the game. You don't have to bet on the total. You don't even have to bet on the strikeout prop, right? It could be literally pitch by pitch. So if you're in the mentality that you're willing to do something like this, you can do this in a way that really can be undetectable. I know he bounced the pitch, right? But literally it's like a Cheesecake Factory menu of all the things you can bet. If you can bet next pitch strike, next pitch ball, right? Obviously you could be in the head, hey, I can start out on 1-0 count and really not have this be anything. But the idea that so much money came in on something so odd, quite frankly, is going to raise the bet. He's got to keep his circle tighter, basically. He can't let the whole neighborhood know that the game's up. That's what he's got to do. But I think one of the moral of the story here also is that there's just so many props. You can just literally, shove all in on something so small, so hidden, that is offered in few places and wind up making this happen. It's very hard to regulate, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It's just so easy. And, why would they do it? They could do it because, you know what? I think it's the challenge. I really do believe part of it is the challenge of getting away with it. I think that's part of it. 2 is you're not asking me to lose the game. No, you're not asking me to, give 5,000 runs. No, right. What are you asking me?
I can mentally square myself, right? I can look myself in the mirror. Yeah. I'm not hurting my team here by still allowing, my cousins back home to be able to, lay their mortgage on it and, double up, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. People would say, now this guy doesn't make that much money, but still, why risk it? It's because, he probably has 5,000 people in the Dominican Republic asking him for money. And he says, listen, I don't got that kind of money, but I'll tell you what I'll do, against
I'll throw a ball to start the game.
Yeah, I'll throw a ball in the 3rd inning, is make sure you bet that. So if these dopes don't like bet $1,000, $2,000, $100,000 on him to throw a ball in the first pitch, they'll never get caught. If you're smart, I've had this discussion with Joe. If you do it right, Dane, you'll never get caught. You just won't. And I'm sure a lot of people do. It's only when you're betting crazy amounts that it just sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, why are you betting $10,000 or $100,000, whatever it is, on him to throw a ball? I mean, nobody does that. Nobody. So
yeah, but I think the other pieces here, and to your point, there are now so many so obscure props that now you open up the liability to kind of be able to have that tainted in a way that doesn't impact the actual game, right? Like I see when Paul Skeens is getting a start, you get like velocity of his first pitch, right?
Yeah.
All you gotta do is call fastball, right? For the first pitch and whatever. And you don't feel like it's really, you're not messing with your team. Really, so I bet that there are people that have some exposure, that have some liability, that are willing to do this. They can find a way to do this and still look themselves in the mirror and feel like they're being a good teammate and not, you used to think about this as quote unquote throwing the game. You can now do this in a way that is not throwing the game.
Yeah, absolutely. In the NBA one, that's the easiest to me with the rebounding. And I've always said, don't always go under. You tell the guy, listen, get 6 rebounds tonight. Your over-under is 5.5. You can make pretty darn sure with rebounds. All right, you know what? I'm going to go out of my way. I'm not going to run down the court on shots. I'm going to stay back, and I'll get 6 rebounds. Like, I think you could fix it to the over just as much as you can to the under. I mean, under is 100% guaranteed. I don't get the balls at my feet. I'm not going to pick it up. But, if you're going to do this wisely, do some overs. And you know what, Joe Schmo, make sure you get 6 rebounds tonight because we're all betting the over. I don't know. I think this stuff goes on all the time. I really do. So, any lasting bets for tonight? Giants up 2-0 already. First inning against the Diamondbacks, by the way.
No, I will say this, though. The Minnesota Lynx did come all the way back and won by going away. So, again, that is the blueprint, and we'll be here to talk about it on In-Game Live all the time.
Yep. Dane, great job as always. It'll be Dane and I all next week, so that'll be a lot of fun. 8 to 10. Tomorrow, it's going to be me and Joe Madden from 4 to 8 p.m. on July 4th. So we need to get some runs out of the Stankies and Blue Jays. That's our big gift. That's what we need right now. Dane, great job. We'll see you tomorrow, next week.
See you then.